Today we are going to discuss another important lesson in advanced management accounting, which has kept a weightage of 15%, that is risk and uncertainty in decision making. That is a very important topic we can discuss during this pandemic period. Risk and uncertainty. Uncertainty is everywhere. Therefore, when we are going to discuss this topic, practical application, thereafter how we are going to make a decision when there is a risk and when there is an uncertainty. Therefore, that is very important to discuss the important point of this lesson, and I will summarize what we are going to do. Thereafter, when you are practicing this topic, risk and uncertainty, we have to learn from the fundamentals. That means basic concepts we have to learn. What do you think about what is the meaning of risk? What is the risk? That means when you expect, I will take a practical example. Okay, in this examination you expect 60 marks, that is your expectation. Okay, but there will be a probable outcome, you might fail the exam. That is the risk you facing. Okay. Therefore, when there is risk evolve, when there is an uncertainty whether pass or fail, uncertain, that means there might be uncertain event that you can't expect. Some events can be happen even you have not expected, that is the uncertainty. Therefore, there are some possible outcomes. As an examination, you can either pass, you can either fail, you can pass with the merit prize. Okay, those are probable outcome. Out of those outcome, there is a outcome you might fail the exam. That is the risk. That means you may not achieve your desired target or desired objective. That is the risk. Therefore, when you are going to make a decision, as an example, how it will be related to your management accounting. Assume you are going to invest in a project, assume in a project appraisal, you are investing huge sum of money, then there is risk, there are some factors might affect to convert this project NPV into negative. At the inception you expected that project will be more viable, but while you are conducting project, while at the end of the project period it might be not viable or it might be making losses. Therefore, in this topic we are going to discuss when there is a risk and uncertainty involved, how are we going to make decisions. Okay. Therefore, topic for today, risk and uncertainty. Okay. Risk and uncertainty in decision making risk and uncertainty in decision making. Okay. Therefore, first we need to look at what is the risk, what is the meaning of risk. Okay. As I elaborated earlier, risk can be applied to a situation where there are several possible outcomes, and on the basis of past relevant experience, probabilities can be assigned to the various outcome could prevail. There might be probable outcome. There will be probable outcome. There will be probable outcomes. Probable outcomes. There will be probable outcomes. Those outcomes are, as an example, you will pass the examination, you might either pass, either fail, you will pass with the merit prize. Those will be outcomes. Therefore, then uncertainty, why uncertainty link? It says uncertainty can be applied to a situation where there are several possible outcomes, but there is a little past relevant experience to enable the probability of the possible outcomes to be predicted. As an example, you have predicted based on your experience outcome will be positive or negative, outcome will be pass or fail. but there is a risk. Risk why? But it is, you can't say it is certainly, there might be uncertain. As an example, if you launch a product, assume it might be either success or fail, Exactly you can't say this product will be success 100%. There is a probability, okay, you have to assign probability, assume there is a 80% success based on previous experience, there will be 20% probability this will be failed. That is coming an uncertain. Therefore, then there is an uncertainty whether you can launch a product with a success product or it might, if it is a failed product. Therefore, there is a uncertainty there because you can't say exactly this will be 100% successful product. That's involve risk and uncertainty. Okay, risk, look at the difference between risk and uncertainty. Risk, several possible outcomes, okay, several possible outcomes, either success or fail, okay, possible outcome. Use relevant experience, assign probabilities to outcome. Yes, based on my previous experience when launching product, I have assigned probabilities. Increase as the variability of the return increases. As an example, if your fail rate is high, that means high risk of failure, then you expect a higher return. You are taking a higher risk. If loku risk එකක් ගන්න ලොකු return එකක් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. That is the main concern. Uncertainty, several possible outcomes there, little experience, difficult to assign probabilities to outcome. Uncertainty, increase as the project life increases. Okay, uncertainty, as an example, when you are going to evaluate a project, uncertainty will goes up if your project duration is longer period. Okay, අවිනිශ්චිතතාවය වැඩි project period. Assume you are investing a project with a 2-year period and 10-year period. When the tenor is longer, your uncertainty is high. I will take an example. There are 2 projects, assume A and B. You are going to invest 100 million for project A, same 100 million for project B. If the project term, here it is 2 years, here it is 20 years. Which one has the highest uncertainty of the cash flows? This one has the highest uncertainty, more uncertain. More uncertain. Sometimes you can't assign the probabilities of the cash flows. You can't expect because the tenor is longer, uncertainty is very high. Okay, clear? Therefore, when you are assessing risk and uncertainty, you have to look at whether we can assign probabilities or not. Okay, whether tenor in a project appraisal, you have to think about whether possible outcomes are there, whether you can assign probabilities. When the tenor is increasing or extending, then your uncertainty is very high. Okay. Now, based on thereafter you will discuss the risk and uncertainty, you have an idea. Now, when we look at about the investor's perspective, based on the risk, their return will depend. If you are willing to know the investor's behavior also, you can identify based on the level of degree of risk they are willing to incur. Okay. Okay, if I take about risk preference, okay, you will look at, assume your uncertainty will be high if your predictability is low. If you are unable to assign probabilities, your uncertainty will be very high. Based on the risk and uncertainty, You can identify 3 type of behaviors or 3 type of investors based on the risk preference. Okay. Risk preference. Risk preference. There were 3 types of investors. One called risk seeker. Risk seeker. What is the meaning of risk seeker? He is willing to take more risk. Okay. Even there is a small chance to success, he is willing to take such risk. That is very important. Risk seeker is the person who is willing to take more risk. Even there is a less probability of success, then he will expect a higher return. Therefore, risk seeker, you will expect higher risk. Higher risk. Higher risk. That means there is a less probability of success. Assume 90% you will be failed, but 10% you will be pass. Risk seeker, assume some papers in the recent examination also, the pass rate was very poor. That means in this exam, if you Google search, some students have shared me some thoughts. What are the most difficult exams in the world? Then chartered accountancy also they are in the list. That means you are doing a very difficult exam, but don't think it is too difficult, because you can pass this examination if you properly studied it. If you properly reference whatever the study material, then it won't be a difficult one, but too difficult one, but difficult, but you can pass the examination. Therefore, you assume the last examination session, there is a new technology, online examination, there was a, not last exam, before last examination, new experience. First time you have sat for online examination. It is a separate experience for all the students. Then you have took that risk. Some students have not adequate computer literacy, but they have took that risk. Even though they know it is a less probability of pass, they took the risk. That is, they are risk seeker. Okay. Assume if 100 students sat for the examination, only 7 of 10 students passed, mean 90% failed. But that means you, even though it is a less probability of success, but if you being success, you can get a higher return. It is not comparable. You can't comparable with any other else. We have to admire our students as well. No? Therefore, you are taking a risk. That means you can expect a higher return. That is why you are doing this examination and you are getting experience in the practical training. Why? You are making an investment. Don't think while you are getting small allowance from the audit firm or whatever the training, but subsequently you are to think about that, you are making a significant investment. Okay, you are taking a higher risk, then you can expect a higher return. Higher return. Higher return. Higher return. Therefore, high risk, high return. You are risk seeker. Even there is a less probability of success. Okay, less probability of success. Always you are, I am telling that this is optimistic, you are optimism. That means even there is a less probability, assume 5% chance to pass the examination, you expect that, okay, I will be there in that 5%. Even there is a less probability, you expect you will be there. That means optimism. Therefore, risk seeker expect to incur higher risk or expect to take higher risk in order to get a higher return. That is called risk seeker based on the risk preference. Now, even though under your syllabus it has not been covered or mentioned decision rules, but in on pilot examination, pilot paper, they have checked on risk or decision rules. Now, if you are a risk seeker, you always look at the best possible outcome, best of best. Okay, you always look at the how you are going to make a decision. Decision making rule, decision rule you will make based on maxi-max. You might heard maxi-max decision rule. Maxi-max decision rule, that means you expect you can get the best out of best. You will make a decision based on too optimistic decision making. Okay, even this less probability to achieve, you will select the best outcome. Therefore, you will make the decision based on maxi-max decision rule. Okay, maxi-max decision rule. That is about risk seeker. We will discuss about these decision rules. Then the next one I will call risk averse investors. Risk averse. Risk averse. These risk averse investors always think worst possible outcome, at the worst possible scenario, what I need to take. They will assume worst possible outcome will occur. Then they will make the decision. They are not going to take much risk. Okay. Therefore, in the worst outcome can occur, they expect reasonable risk they are going to accept, and they will take a risk, but not beyond the market risk. They will take a risk. Remember, expect worst outcome will occur. Worst outcome will occur. Worst outcome will occur. They will take a risk. This is called conservative. They are very conservative. Conservative. Take a risk. They will take a moderate risk. Moderate risk and moderate return. Moderate return. Therefore, when they are going to make a decision, their decision making rule will be maxi-min. Maxi-min, or you can take minimax regret rule also come under this. But it has not mentioned in your study pack or elsewhere, but in the pilot paper it was tested. That is why I have took both decision rules. What is the basis of their making a decision? Then final one they call risk neutral. Risk neutral. These investors, they are not willing to take much risk, even not even they are willing to take a risk. Risk neutral. They will look at most likely outcome. Okay, most likely. Vadipuram Venekan. That means that is why they are keen risk neutral. Therefore, no need to think about them, because when we are going to discuss about risk neutral, a decision maker is risk neutral if they are concerned with what will be the most likely outcome. Remember, they will always look at most likely outcome. Most likely outcome. What is the most likely outcome they will select? Risk neutral. Lower return, low risk. Lower return, no risk. Lower return. No risk at all. Most likely outcome they will predict. Therefore, under this situation, when you are going to make a decision, you will make the decision based on expected values. Expected values. expected value. You will make the decision based on expected values. Okay. These are the three types of investor behavior preference or risk preference. One we call risk seeker, who will take more risk even the less probability of success. Risk averse investor, they will predict worse outcome, and risk neutral investors, they will prefer any outcome which don't have any risk. That means they will look at the most likely outcome. Therefore, three types of decision rules we have discussed: maximax, maximin, expected value. These decision rules I am not going to discuss in detail, but you need to keep in mind, since one of the pilot paper also been tested. Therefore, we will get a brief idea about these decision rules and how they make the decision. Okay. There is an example, example number 1. Read the example number 1. Following information has provided for possible investment for Alpha PLC. Okay, NPVs of the project A, B and C is given. The scenario and the probability is also been provided. Best possible, most likely, worst possible. Determine which project should be selected if company is a risk seeking investor, if the company is risk averse investor, if the company is risk neutral investor. Okay, first we will look at how risk seeker will make a decision. කොහොමද risk seeker කෙනෙක් මේ decision එක ගන්නෙ? Because even though there is a less probability of success, he will accept the best possible outcome. That means he always optimistic. Okay, always optimistic. Select the highest outcome. He will select highest NPV. Okay. Now, based on the table, there are projects, NPV is given, project A, project B and project C. Project C. There are three outcomes: best possible, most likely, and worst possible. Those are the three scenarios. Okay. The NPVs of the projects given, project NPVs in rupees million. NPVs in rupees million already been given. Best possible scenario, project A 100 million, project B it is 120 million, project C it was 80 million. That is the best possible scenario. Most likely scenario, project A 60, project B 80, project C 50 million. Okay, 50 million. Worst possible scenario, project A 20 million is the NPV, project B it's a negative NPV of 10, and project C it was 30. Okay, this is the information. I have not given the probabilities also. I will give here probabilities. Probability here point is 30%, not 30, it is 20, 20%, 50% and 30. Okay. Now, number 1, if you are a risk seeking investor, okay, risk seeker will make the decision based on risk seeker will use maximax. Maximax. Maximax decision rule. Under maximax, what you will select? Best out of best. Okay, look at the project A. What is the best possible outcome? Best possible outcome is 100. best possible outcome is 100. Okay, highest NPV. Project B, highest NPV is 120. Okay, 120. Project C, best possible outcome is 80, highest NPV 80. These are the best outcome, maximum or most or highest NPV in each project. This is the best possible outcome. Now, if you are a risk seeker, you will select the highest possible profit or NPV. Therefore, these are the best result out of that best of best. He will select project B. If you are a risk seeker, you will select project B. Why? It gives under that there's a less probability of success. He will select project B. Why? It gives the highest NPV. There's an outcome. Therefore, if you are a risk seeker, you will make the decision based on best possible outcome. You will select the best of best. That is risk seeker. Therefore, project B will be selected. Project B. Project B. If you are a risk neutral investor, risk averse. Risk averse. If you are risk averse investors, you will make the decision based on maximin. Maximin. Maximin, that means you will forecast what are the worst possible outcome. Okay, there are worst possible outcome is given here. Project A, this is the worst possible outcome. Okay, this is the worst possible outcome. That means 20. Here is the worst possible outcome, minus 10. This is the worst possible outcome, 30. These are the worst possible outcome. Under risk averse investors, you will predict worst possible outcome. Out of that, you will select the best. That means best out of worst. Okay, you will select project C. Project C. Even in a worst possible scenario, this will give the highest NPV. Okay, worst possible scenario. Here you have expect more favorable scenario, that means best possible scenario. Here you have estimated most or risk averse worst outcome you will expect it. Okay, if you are a risk neutral investor, you have to calculate expected value, most likely outcome, expected value of these given scenario. Okay, if I calculate the expected values, 0.2 into 100, it will be 20. I will say EV. 0.5 into 60, it will be 30. 20 into 0.3, it will be 6. Sigma expected value 56. Project A expected value 56. We will look at project B. 120 into 0.2, it is 24. 80 into 0.5, it should be 40. That is the how to calculate the expected value. Value multiplied by probability. Then minus 10 multiplied by 30%, it will be minus 3. Total 64 minus 1, that means 61. Project C, if you look at project C, we will calculate expected values. 80 multiplied by probability of 20%, then it is 16. 50 multiplied by 50%, 25. 30 multiplied by 30%, it is 9. Take the total. It should be 50. It should be 50. Now, which project should be selected? Based on the given information, highest expected value there in project B. This has the highest expected value. Therefore, if you are a risk neutral, expected values. Expected value of project A 56, expected value of project B 61, expected value of project C 50. You should select project B if you are a risk neutral investor. Okay, that's how we have to make a decision based on the risk preference. If you are a risk seeker, if you are a risk averse investor, based on the given condition, you need to decide which option to be selected. Okay. Therefore, risk preference, risk seeker, even there is a less probability of success, you will select the best outcome. Okay. In the risk averse investor always expect, okay, the worst possible outcome will occur. If there is a worst possible scenario, which outcome I need to select? In the risk neutral, it will expect the most likely outcome. Okay. That is the answer for example number 1. I have given an additional explanation on decision rules as well. Okay. Now, we will move to next one, perfect and imperfect information. Okay. Then the next important topic, when you are going to make a decision, you should be able to get the relevant information. When you are going to make a decision, if all the information, all the relevant information available without any uncertainty, that means those are perfect information. But in all the times, you may not get the perfect information at all. There might be some uncertainty, but there will be some information, but not the complete set of information. Therefore, those are imperfect information. Therefore, perfect information means it removes all the doubt and uncertainty from a decision and enables manager to make a decision with complete confidence. Okay. If you have the perfect information, then you can make a perfect decision. Okay. If you do not have a perfect information, then there is a problem, because your decision may not be 100% accurate. As an example, the value of perfect information is the difference between the expected value of profit with the perfect information and expected value of profit without perfect information. Imperfect information is better than no information at all, but could be wrong in its predictions of the future. That means you may not, you can make a decision without information, then you have no any clue whether it is right or wrong, but there will be some information, but it is imperfect, but it is more worth than without having any information. Okay. Therefore, you have to look at the value of perfect and value of imperfect information. Okay. Value of perfect information. If you have a perfect information, then you can easily make the decision with the 100% accuracy. Even though there is no perfect information, then you have to look at the value of imperfect information, because it is more better than without having any information. Okay. Perfect and imperfect information, this can be tested in one particular area that can be tested in the examination. Value of perfect information, you have to calculate. Okay. We will move to example number 2, then you can get an idea. ABC PLC must decide at what level to market the new product, the alpha. They are going to launch a new product called alpha. The alpha can be sold nationally within a single sales region where the demands like to be relatively strong, or within a single area. Therefore, 3 options are there. You can sell nationally, island wide. Number 2, within a single sales region. Okay, one region, like assume Western province. Okay, one region, or in a one area, that means Colombo. Okay, those are the 3 options. Sales demand will be either weak, moderate and strong. Okay. Now, you do not have any perfect information which option to be selected, because the probability is also being assigned. Market nationally, the demand possible profit, sorry, the profit of the, if the demand is weak, the possible loss is 4,000. Okay. If the demand is moderate, if locally, if you in entire country island wide, if you sell, 2,000 is the profit. Strong, it will be 10,000 profit. In one region, that means region option B we call, assume Western province. Weak scenario, neither profit nor loss. Moderate scenario 3,500, and strong scenario it is 4,000 in one area. Weak scenario it is 1,000, moderate scenario 1,500, strong scenario 2,000. Probability is given 30, 50 and 20. Which option should be selected when there is no perfect information? Now, you have to, if there is no perfect information, you will look at most likely outcome. You will select the option which has the highest expected value, since you do not have any information. Clear? Therefore, we will look at this option. There are 3 options. Number 1, nationally, national. That is option A. Outcomes will be there. Scenario, weak, moderate and strong. Okay, this is a probability. Weak 30%, 0.3, moderate 50%, okay, and strong 20%. Nationally, if the demand is weak, you have a loss of 4,000. Then calculate the expected value. 4,000 loss. If moderate demand, you will earn a profit of 2,000. If the demand is strong, you will earn 10,000. Okay. Expected value 0.3 into 4,000, 1,200 loss. 2,000 into 0.5, it will be 1,000. 10,000 into 0.2, it should be 2,000. Now, take the expected value. If you take the total, 1,800 is the net profit expected value. 1,800. That is for if you sell island wide, if you cover the entire country, if you nationally sell the product, you will get the expected value of profit of 1,800. You do not know the perfect market, the perfect market you do not know, you do not have any perfect information. Based on previous example experience, you will select the best possible outcome based on the expected value computation. Then option B, region. region, I will take the expected value of that as well. In region, if the demand is weak, your profit will be nil. If demand is moderate, your profit will be 3,500. If demand is strong, you will have a profit of 4,000. 4,000. 0.3 into 0, expected value 0. 3,500 into 0.5, 1,750. 4,000 into 0.2, 800. Expected value 2,550. 2,550, that is the, if you sell in region, that is option B. Option B. Okay. Next one area. Only one area you are going to sell, that is option C, an expected value. When the demand is weak, you will be able to generate profit of 1,000. If demand is moderate, you can earn 1,500. If demand is strong, you can earn 2,000. If you look at the expected value, 0.3 is the weak scenario, into 1,000 it should be 300. 1,500 into 0.5, 750. 750. Then 2,000 into 0.2, 400. 1,450 is the expected value. Sigma expected. Now, if there is no perfect information, you will go ahead with the option which has the highest expected value. That means you will decide to sell on the regional basis, because it gives the highest expected value, because you do not have any information which market will be success, you do not have any clue. Based on the expected value, you will select the most likely outcome, that is region B. You can get 2,550 as expected value. That is how you have made the decision. Okay. There is no perfect, which option should be selected when there is no perfect information. There is no perfect information, then you have to select region B, region, that is option B in this particular scenario. Okay. This has been this example, next example directly taken from your study pack. Okay, I thought it was very helpful and it will be very important. Value of perfect, imperfect information. Now, previous scenario there is no information at all. Now, you have some imperfect information, you have to decide whether it is suitable or not. Okay. Having information, even though it is imperfect, is better than without having any information. එකන මොනවත් information නැතුව තියෙන වැඩි යම් information එකක් තියෙන එක වටිනවා decision එකක් ගන්න. Okay, we'll read the next example, then you can get an idea the differentiation between value of perfect information and value of imperfect information. Okay, a small oil company, okay, is trying to decide whether or not to drill on a particular site. Okay, there is an oil drilling company, they are going to decide whether drill or not. That means you have to make a decision, should I drill or not. Okay. The chief engineer has assessed the probability that there will be oil based on past experience as 20%. Okay. Based on past experience, there will be a probability of 20% there will be oil and 80% there won't be. Okay. It is possible for SOC to hire a firm of international consultants to carry out a complete survey of the site. SOC has used the firm many times before and has estimated that if there really is oil, if this real is oil, there is a 95% chance that the report will be favorable. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් oil තියෙනවා නම් ඒ report survey report එකකින් 95% එයාලා කියන oil තියෙනවා කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ 5% chance they might say there won't be oil even though oil is there. Okay. If there's no oil, it says if there's no oil, there's only 10% chance that the report will indicate that there is oil. ඒ කියන්නේ if assume actual scenario there's no oil but the report might say 10% oil will be there, but 90% they will say when there's the event there's no oil, they will say there's no oil. Okay. The cost of drilling 10 million, the value of the benefit of if oil is found 70 million giving the net profit of 10 million, that means 10 million drilling cost you have removed from the revenue of 70 million, then you will get 60 million net profit. The cost of obtaining information from the consultant would be 3 million. Okay. Now you have decided if you going ahead without any information, you based on previous experience you know that you will have an option there will be oil and there won't be oil, 20% chance there will be oil, 80% chance there won't be oil. Okay. Now you have to tabularize or you have to summarize what the content is. You have to identify where we have to make a decision. Here also it involves some probabilities. Okay. It involves some probabilities, you have to calculate it. Based on that we have to draw a decision tree, but decision tree also we will discuss separately. I will summarize this situation first. Okay. If we decide to conduct a survey, what will happen? Now survey, outcome of survey. Outcome of survey. It says oil available, oil not available. The report එකෙන් දෙන්න පුළුවන් ඔය දෙක විතරයිනේ. oil තියෙනවද නැද්ද? But actual scenario, there can be oil and there won't be oil. Actual result. Actual outcome. Actual outcome. There is a 20% chance oil will be available. Oil available. Oil available. There is a 20% chance. Remember, probability is 20%. Oil available, 20% chance. And there is a other outcome, actual outcome, no oil. Or oil not available, oil not available, not available. Past experience, it will be 80%. Okay. Those are the two actual outcome. There might be oil available, there will be chance of 20%, there will be chance of 80% oil not available. Okay. And the scenario when actual outcome oil තියෙනවා කියලා oil තියෙන වෙලාවකදී if we conduct the survey, it will says probability, we will say 95% we will say oil is available. Okay. In 5 instances, even though oil is available, we say oil won't be available. Okay. That means that's how 100% comes. Okay. If actual scenario, if oil not available, we will say, okay, we will say even though oil not available, 10% we will say oil will be available, probability 10% or 1/10 we say oil will be available even though oil is not available. That means mistake. That means even 90% probability that can oil නැති වෙලාවක අපේ report එකෙන් oil නැහැ කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන් සම්භාවිතාවය 90%යි. That's how it will arise. Okay, now if you calculate the probabilities, when oil available, actual result oil available 20%, then joint probability will be 20% into 95%, it will be 19%. 19%. Okay. Oil තියෙන වෙලාවක oil තියෙනවා කියලා කියන තියෙන percentage එක 19%. ඒ වගේම oil නැති වෙලාවක oil තියෙනවා කියලා මේ report එකෙන් කියන්න තියෙන chance එක කීයද? 10% into 80%, 8% chance එකක් තියෙනවා. oil නැති වෙලාවකත් මේ report එක oil තියෙනවා කියලා කියන්න. එහෙනම් මේ report එකෙන් oil තියෙනවා කියලා කොච්චර percentage එකක් කියනවද? 19 plus 8% cumulative of probability 27%. ඒ කියන්නේ survey එකෙන් 27% කියන්න පුළුවන් oil තියෙනවා කියලා. Then balance 5% into 20, here it is 1, then it come to 20%, and when the report says oil not available, yes, oil not available, 90 into 80%, 72%, then 80. Then your report will say oil not available 1 plus 72, 73%. Then it become 100%. Okay, that means if oil in your outcome, based on outcome of the survey, the report will say 23% oil will be available and 73% the report will say oil will not be available. Now you have to identify whether should I conduct a research or not, or whether should I drill the site or drill the site without any perfect information. I am not going to do any research. I will drill and see whether it will be profitable. Okay, now based on this information and probabilities, I will work out the probabilities and I will work out the expected outcome of imperfect information. Okay, expected outcome of imperfect information, I have to work it out. You have to keep remember these are the probabilities and you need to work it out. Now you have the information, based on this information you have to get some probabilities, then you can decide which option should be selected. Okay, now in this scenario you have to construct a decision tree, but I am going to discuss decision tree separately. Decision tree mean it's a pictorial illustration about the all possible outcomes. Okay, now you have to make a decision square shape we will use when you are going to make a decision. There are two options, drill without information, drill without information. Okay, drill without information. If drill without information, there is a chance of oil available and oil not available. The probability is given oil available 20% probability, oil not available 80% probability. If oil available, you can make a profit of 60 million, okay, 60 million. 70 minus 10, 60. If oil not available, you can't get any revenue. You have a drilling cost of 10 million there. Now calculate the expected value. 0.2 into 60, it is 12 million. 10 million into 80%, loss of 8 million. If under this option, there is a profit of 4 million, your expected value 4 million. Without without any information, expected value of your decision is 4 million. Okay. Now, then you have to decide, okay, I will do a research, drill with information, drill with information, drill with information. Then that means you have to conduct a survey. The cost of survey will be how much? 3 million cost will be there. You have to incur 3 million cost in order to get the information. Then the report says oil will be available. Report says or survey says, oil available, and on the other hand, survey will be says oil, survey says oil not available. Oil not available. Oil available and oil not available. As you can remember, when we are drawing that probability table, survey will say oil will be available. There is a chance of 27%. Can you remember? 27%. That means 19% plus 8%, 27% probability was there, and survey will say oil will not available 73%. Okay. Now the survey says oil available, but actual result there will be oil and there won't be oil. Therefore, again you have to have an outcome actually oil available and actually oil not available. Actually oil not available. What is the probability? What is the probability? Now, report says, survey says oil available. Out of that, actual oil availability, දැන් මේ 27 හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද? Report says actually oil available. Out of that 19% oil available, 8% oil not available. That's how it has worked out. ඒ කියන්නේ oil තියෙනවා කියලා මේ report එකෙන් දෙන්න තියෙන chance 27%. ඒකිනුත් 19% oil ඇත්තටම තියෙනවා. ඒකිනුත් 8% oil තියෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙනම් මේක බැලුවොත් actually oil available 19% divide by 27%. Your probability should be 0.704. If actually oil available, what is your net profit? 60 million. 60 million. 60 million. Actually oil not available. Actual scenario oil won't be available. What is the probability? 8% divide by 27%, or 1 minus 704. It will be 0.296. 0.296. There will be a loss of 10 million. Loss of 10 million. Calculate the expected value. If you calculate the expected value, here 0.704 into 60 million expected value, 0.704 into 60 million, 42.24 million. Here 10 million into 0.296, there is a loss of 2.96 million. Then 2.96 million. Expected value of this outcome, expected value 39.28 million. 39.28 million. Expected outcome, expected value of this outcome is 39.28 million. Okay. Survey says oil not available. Survey ka kiyana oil available naha. Oil available නැත්නම් අපි drill කරනවද? We are not going to drill. Okay. Therefore, there is no expected value. If report says oil not available, we are not going to drill. It is useless. Therefore, out of that, when there is oil not available, but there will be oil, what is the percentage? Oil available, actually oil available, 1 out of 73, 0.014. Here 72, oil not available, oil not available. You have to calculate joint probability. 72 divided by 73, 0.986, but there is no result, no net profit, because if the survey says oil not available, you are not going to drill. Now, expected value 27% into 39.28, your answer will be 10.61. Expected value 10.61 million. 10.61 million. Expected value 10.61 million. Now, you can look at, if you drill with the information, you will get 10.61 million minus 3 million, your expected value 7.61 million. 7.61 million. If you drill without information, you will get expected value here, expected value 4 million. Now, you will decide which option is preferable. You will decide drill with information, drill with info. Value, expected value 7.61. This is not a perfect information, but it is better than without having a perfect information. Now, with the perfect information, you will get 7.61 without perfect info, with the imperfect info. Without no information, with no information, you will get 4 million. Therefore, value of imperfect information would be the difference between this. Metana may value එකයි තියෙන වෙන මොනවත් information නැතුව may value of the information. Therefore, value of the information will be 7.61 million minus 4 million, 3.61. Okay. Value of information, you can calculate 7.61 million minus 4 million, 3.61 million. 3.61 million is the value of information. Value of information. Value of information. Value of information is 3.61 million, 3.61. That is how we can differentiate. Without any information, you can only get 4 million. With having the information, you get the value, expected value you can get 7.61 million. Therefore, value of information is 3.61. That is how we can identify value of the information, value of having information, value of the value which might be foregone without having information. You have to calculate the difference between value without information should be compared with value with the information. That difference we call value of the information. Okay, that is done. That is for the example number 3. Then next topic, downside risk of a project. What does it mean, downside risk? Downside risk mean when you are going to start a project, downside risk mean you will not get the expected outcome. That means you expect positive net present value, but actual result it will be a negative NPV. You did not expect negative NPV, but there is a risk even though you expect a positive net present value, but actual result it will be a negative NPV. That will be the downside risk. The downside risk refers to the risks that an adverse or negative outcome may occur. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වුණ positive outcome එක වෙනකොට negative outcome එකක් හම්බ වෙනවා නම් අපි ඒකට කියනවා downside risk එකක්. It will be a downside risk if your actual outcome has negatively affected. Okay. Therefore, we can use two approaches in project appraisal. In long term decision making, we have already learned, we have already discussed in previous session as well in long term decision making. When there is a downside risk, we have to identify which factor has the more crucial. That is why we are doing a sensitivity analysis. In order to eliminate the risk associated with the cash flows, we will use certainty equivalent approach to eliminate the downside risk. Clear what I have told? When there is a downside risk, what we can do? When there is a downside risk, we can eliminate or we can minimize risk associated with the cash flow. Then or either we can identify what is the most crucial factor for success in the project. Okay. Look at sensitivity analysis and certainty equivalent approach can be used to evaluate risk surrounding in a capital investment. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි capital investment එකක් ගෙපුවාම ඒකේට බලපාන risk factors මොනවද කියලා බලන්න. We can use certainty equivalent approach and sensitivity analysis. Okay. Sensitivity analysis, what it says? Sensitivity analysis mean you will calculate each figure. As we have, when we are going to do a project, what are the most critical factors, more important factors? You have to make an initial investment. There will be revenue inflows, there will be cost outflows, net cash flows will be there, discount factor also get affected. Therefore, those factors will affect when we are going to determine the net present value. Okay. Out of those factors, we have to identify which factors or what are the most critical or crucial factors when determining what can convert this factor, what entire project can convert into negative one. As a small change of one particular significant factor might create a significant reduction in net present value. In certainty equivalent approach, the expected cash flows of the project are converted to risk less equivalent amount. Okay. Now, as an example, now when you are going to discuss those two approaches, then you can identify your cash flows will be converted into risk less. How can I convert? I will assign probabilities based on the timing of cash flows. As an example, in a long term project, you have given up cash flows for year 1, year 2 and year 3. There is a less uncertainty with compared to the year 3 cash flow when it comes to year 1 cash flow. Therefore, you will assign a higher probability in year 1, lower probability in year 3. That is how we will convert risky cash flows into risk less or risk free cash flows. Okay. That is, those are the two approaches we can use. Okay. First we will look at example number 4, which says about sensitivity. Okay, read the illustration example number 4, it completely says about sensitivity in project appraisal, because this topic also more relevant in long term decision making. You have to evaluate the project sensitivity, based on that you have to recommend some action when you are going to make a decision. As an example, revenue, selling price, variable cost, those are the factors that can directly affect to project viability. Out of that, you have to decide what are the main factors which might significantly impact on your project viability. Read. ABC company has a cost of capital of 8% and is considering, okay, look at, is considering project with the following most likely cash flows. Year 1, year 0 to year 2 is given: purchase of plant, running cost, saving. Required: calculate the sensitivity in percentages of the RIP project to changes in the levels of expected costs and savings. Okay. First, by looking at this information, the cost of capital rate also being given, what you need to do, you have to calculate NPV first. Okay. For your reference, in this example, I will be simplified. Take year 0 to 2. Year 0, 1, 2. Okay. Year 0, 1, 2. I will take discount factor at 8%. At 8%. Discount factor at 8%. Whatever the discount factor, year 0 value, the present value today, present value of 1 rupee at today is 1 rupee. Therefore, at the beginning it will be 1, year 0, discount factor will be 1. Then 1 divided by 1.08, this will be 0.926. Okay. Then 0.857. Okay. These are the discount factors. Now you need to calculate what is the present value of received, present value of payment. First one, purchase of plant. Purchase of plant. It is an outflow at the beginning, year 0, 7,000. Then it come to here 7,000, present value also 7,000 then. Okay. Present value also 7,000. Running cost, design rupees 1,000. Running cost, I will take the present value. Okay. Running cost, present value. Running cost, present value. Year 0, there won't be any running cost. Year 1, running cost is 2,000. Then 2,000 into 0.926. Okay, 2,000 into 0.926, 1,852. I am taking the present value. Second year, it is 2,500 into 0.857 into 2,500, 2,140, 2.5. Take the total. This is the present value of running cost. Okay. $3,994.5 running cost. Then savings, present value. These are cost. Okay. These are cost. These are cost. Savings, year 0, nil. First year 6,000. 6,000 into 0.926. 5,556. Second year 7,000 is the net saving. 7,000 into 0.857. 5,999. Total 11,555. Present value of receipts. Now you can calculate net present value mean present value of receipt and payments. These are payments, these are inflows. Therefore, NPV, net present value. Here minus 7,000 in year 0, year 1 outflow 1,852 present value, inflow 5,556. Take the NP net present value in year 1, 1,852 is negative 5,556, 3,704. Second year 5,999 minus 2,142.5. 3,856.5. Okay, now you can easily take net present value of payment and receipts. You can take the real value or net present value 560.5. Positive NPV 560.5. Now you have to look at the sensitivity. කොහොමද අපි sensitivity එක බලන්නේ? What is the most crucial factor, most important factor? Therefore, you have to calculate sensitivity ratio. Sensitivity equal present value of the factor of the project, net present value of the project. Sorry, it's other way around. NPV should be divided. NPV should be divided by present value of the selected factor into 100%. Okay, I will select, if I select sensitivity of running cost or sensitivity of purchase of plant. Okay, sensitivity of purchase cost or initial investment. Then how to calculate it? NPV divided by present value of initial investment into 100. NPV 560.5 divided by initial investment, present value of initial investment is 7,000 as a percentage. How much? 560.5 divided by 7,000, approximately it is 8.007. I will take 8%. Sensitivity of initial investment. If I calculate this sensitivity of sensitivity of running cost. Sensitivity of running cost. I will divide NPV 560.5 will be divided from present value of running cost 3994.5, 3994.5 as a percentage. $14.03. 14.03%. That is sensitivity of running cost. We will look at sensitivity to the savings. Third one, sensitivity to the saving. NPV 560.5, present value of savings 11,555, 11,555 into 100. How much? It will be 4.85. 4.85%. Now you have analyzed three factors, the sensitivity of three factors: initial investment, running cost and the cost saving. Okay, factors and sensitivity. Sensitivity. Factors and sensitivity. There are three factors I have considered here. Even you can take the discount rate. If you take the discount rate, you have to calculate IRR. Okay. Initial investment is a factor which influence initial investment. That will be a factor which influence to NPV of the project. As an example, when you are going to construct an airport, you budgeted 10 billion. If you spend 20 billion, it might be severely affected your NPV of the project calculation. Okay. Therefore, we have to look at up to how extent it will be applicable. Okay. How extent, what is the sensitivity to the project? Here, initial investment 8% is the sensitivity. ඒ කියන්නේ initial investment එක තව 8% වලින් වැඩි වුණොත් ඔයාගේ NPV එක 0 වෙනවා. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට now 560.5 assume 0.5 separately 560 that mean NPV එක 0 වෙනවා නේද මේක 108 වැඩි වුණොත් 7,000 into 8% then 7,000 if it is 7,560 your NPV will be 0. Okay. Therefore, if your initial investment changed by 8%, if it is went up by 8%, what will happen? NPV will be 0. Therefore, 8% change will not impact again. If you look at this sensitivity of the running cost, it says 14.03. That means if your running cost increase by 14.03, your NPV will be 0. Therefore, running cost. Running cost 14.03%. 14.03%. Third one, sensitivity to the savings. Savings. Sensitivity to the savings is 4.85. 4.85 වලින් savings වෙනස් වුණොත් අඩු වුණොත් again NPV එක 0 වෙනවා. Then out of these three factors, which one is the crucial one? Which one is the most critical factor? වැඩිම තියෙන එක නෙමෙයි. The most crucial factor is small change will significantly affect the change in NPV. Small change which can increase your downside risk. Therefore, you have to identify this based on the risk level. This is the highest riskiest one. This is the second. This is the third. I will select this is the most critical factor. Most critical factor. Most critical factor. Most critical factor mean if it change by a small percentage, your NP දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට මේක 0 වෙන නම් මේක 0.8කින් වෙනස් වෙනවා. හැබැයි මේක 0.4.85 කිය වෙනස් වුණොත් NP will be 0. Therefore, savings is the most critical factor. Therefore, while sensitivity analysis, you are going to identify what are the critical factors which may influence to change in NPV. Okay. Now, I think now you have get an idea about how to calculate sensitivity and how to determine most critical factor. Okay. Okay, next one we are going to discuss about certainty equivalent approach. Certainty equivalent. What is the meaning of certainty equivalent? That means simply we are assigning some probabilities of the cash flows to eliminate uncertainty. I will take an example here. You have a cash flows. Okay, we will take these cash flows. The cash flows might occur in second year has a higher uncertainty than year 1. Therefore, we will assign a probability based on their timing of cash flows. Okay, if I will take this kind of example, then you can easily understand what it means. Certainty equivalent approach. That means we are eliminating uncertainty associated with the cash flows while assigning probabilities. It's like this. This is the timeline. Assume this is year 0. I will say Y0, Y1, year 2, year 3 and year 4. When you are going to assign the probabilities, year 0, what is the probability you can assign? There is no uncertainty. Adda rupiyalaka adda value එක අද කීයද රුපියලමයි. There is no uncertainty involved. Therefore, you can assign 100% probability. Okay, I will assign 100% today. But cash flow might occur after 1 year. You can't give a 100% accuracy. You will receive the same amount. There is an uncertainty involved. උදාහරණයක් කියනවා යාළුවෙකුට රුපියල් 1000ක් දෙනවා. එයා කියනවා මම ඔයාට මේක දෙන්නම්. හෙට දෙන්නම් කියන එකද certainty එක uncertainty අවිනිශ්චිතතාවය වැඩි. මම ඔයාට අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේ දෙන්නම් කිව්වොත් රුපියල් 1000. මොකද්ද ඔයාට ලැබෙන්න තියෙන සම්භාවිතාවය තියෙන්නේ හෙට දෙනවා කියන එකද අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේ දෙනවා කියන එකද? හෙට දෙනවා කියන එක බොහෝ වෙලාවට වැඩි සම්භාවිතාවයක් තියෙනවා. You may get 1000 rupees. හැබැයි අවුරුද්දකින් පස්සේ දෙනවා කිව්වොත් ඒක බොල්නායක් වෙන්න තියෙන සම්භාවිතාවය වැඩි. Therefore, when you are going to assign a probability, when the duration getting extended, you have to assign less probability. Therefore, first year, I will assume I will give a probability of 90% of the cash flow. In the second year, uncertainty will rise, that means increases. Less probability of getting cash, then I will assign 75%. Third year, even worse, your uncertainty is further increasing, then I will assign 60%. In fourth year, your uncertainty will be very high, then I will assign a less probability 50%. What I have done, after discounting the cash, after calculate expected value of the cash flows based on assigning lower probability for the cash flows, which may arise after a long period of time, then the uncertainty will be eliminated, not 100%, but into a greater extent it will be eliminated. Clear? Therefore, in certainty equivalent approach, we will convert cash flows into risk free cash flows. As an example, assume these are the cash flows: 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, assume all are same value, 2 million, 2 million and 2 million. In certainty equivalent approach, we will convert these cash flows into certain, eliminate uncertainty. These cash flows will convert by probability, then this become $2 million, 2 million into 90%, then this become 1.8 million, 2 million into 75%, then 1.5 million, 2 million into 60%, then this become 1.2 million, 2 million into 50%, 1 million. You convert these cash flows while assigning probabilities, convert these cash flows into risk free cash flows. Therefore, these cash flows should be multiplied, should be discounted by risk free cash flows. Okay, you have eliminated the risk, because since these are risk less cash flows, you have discount from the risk free discount rate as well. Okay, there is an example in example number 5. We will read the example number 5. D, a company whose cost of capital is 10%, is considering a project with the following expected cash flows. Okay, expected cash flows given: year 0 10,000, discount factor also given for 10%. Year 1 to 3, NPV has given 4,248. Again, project take NPV positive 4,248 in rupees 1,000. Okay. The project seems to be worthwhile. However, because of the uncertainty about the future cash receipts, the management decides to reduce them to certainty equivalents by taking 70%, 60% and 50% in years 1, 2 and 3. Okay. Cash flows respectively, the risk free rate is 5%. On the basis of the information set out above, assess whether the project is worthwhile. Now, you need to evaluate whether this project is worthwhile to undertake based on certainty equivalent approach. Then what a cash flow හම්බෙන එකේ uncertainty එකක් තියෙනවා නම් what 100% ම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න බෑනේ 2 million අවුරුදු 5කට පස්සේ හම්බ වෙන 2 million ම හම්බ වෙයි කියලා. Then you have to estimate up to which probability you will get the money. You have to assign lower probability for the cash flows will occur in a later period or longer period to obtain the cash. Okay, we will do example number 5. You have to be, while you are practicing for preparing for the examination, you have to practice more and more questions. It is very important. I think CS Sri Lanka also issued so many webinar series, then you can watch and practice more and more, because we have given the insights, we have given the direction, we have given the fundamentals. You have to practice more and more questions. Then it will be very easy to fruitful if you do those, or if you practice those questions, if you understand those theoretical background, then it is very easy to tackle the exam situation. Now we have too much improved with the past 3-5 years, because you have lot of sources of information to study. Then what you have to do is you have to practice more and more questions. Take past papers and do or practice more past papers. Then it will help to improve your knowledge, and you can manage this paper within 3 hours. It is not a difficult or too difficult or unattainable task. You can achieve, it can be achievable if you practice more and more questions. Okay, I will take this example, year 0 to 3. Zero, 1, 2, 3. There are 3 years. Okay. Cash flows. Okay, cash flows, year 0, 10,000. It is an outflow. First year, 7,000. Second year, 5,000. Third year, 5,000 again. Now these are the cash flows. Now you will assign a lower probability for the third year and higher probability for the first year. Yes. Look at the probabilities. 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 Year 1, year 0, probability is 100% no. No any doubt. Okay. First year it says 70%. We have to take 70%. Second year it says to 60% probability. There is a 50% chance you will get 5,000 in third year. Now you have to calculate cash risk plus cash flow, certain cash flows. Cash flows. 10,000 into 100%, anyway it is 10,000 outflow. 7,000 into 70%, 4,900. 5,000 into 60%, it is 3,000. 5,000 into 50%, 2,500. Now these cash flows should be discounted by using risk-free discount rate. Okay. The risk-free discount rate is 5%. Discount factor at 5%. In year 1, year 0, it is always 1. First year discount factor 0.952. Year 2, 0.907. Then 0.864. Okay, these are the discount risk-free discount factors. Okay, now we will calculate net or present values. Present value. Here it is anyway 10,000 and outflow at the beginning of the year. 4,900 into 0.952. 4,664.8. 3,000 into 0.907, 2,721. 0.864 into 2,500, 2,160. Take the net present value. NPV, uncertainty equivalent approach. NPV. NPV 454.2, it is negative. 454.2, it is negative. If you apply certainty equivalent approach, you will not recommend to accept this project. You will say we should not accept this project based on certainty equivalent approach. Write it down. We should not accept this project based on certainty equivalent approach, because these cash flows we have eliminated the risk associated with the cash flows. Okay. That is the end of example number 5 that we have discussed about certainty equivalent of the cash flows. Okay. Before moving to decision tree, yes, that is the end of example number 5. We have discussed about certainty equivalent. We have assigned probabilities. Now, when you are going to evaluate a project, you have to evaluate risks surrounding to the project. If the project carries a huge risk, then you need to decide what is the return we get, and if it is not worthwhile, you should not accept that particular project. When you are going to evaluate the risk surrounding to the project, you can use certainty equivalent approach, you can use sensitivity analysis to evaluate the project viability or get the background or understanding about risk associated with the project. Okay.